Badu, 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 badu. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Bruna. Today, as you can see, we are going to be crocheting this beautiful tank top that you can make in under 4 hours. I made in around 3 hours and 45 minutes, 45 minutes. So it's a pretty quick project to do if you are looking for a pretty simple and quick top to crochet. And this is how mine turned out. So this is what you guys are going to be learning in today's video. I really hope you like it, and let's begin and let's crochet this beautiful top together. The measurements for this top without stretching, because remember that crochet stretches quite a lot. So from under the armpit to the other side, it's 38 centimeters. And the length for this top, I've done 46 centimeters. Remember that you can do longer or shorter depending on what you are going to be making. Also, you can turn this top into a dress by just making more rounds going down onto the length that you want. So here's everything you will need to crochet today's project, starting with the yarn. This is the Doni by Teslan.com, and this is a 100% cotton yarn. I am using this yarn because it's super soft and it's also cotton, so it's perfect for summertime. And the shade for this yarn, it's Galio. I'm going to be linking the yarn plus all the materials I am using in the description, so feel free to check it out if you want to purchase anything that you can see here. And then I'm going to be using a tape measure. This one I've covered with crochet. And then I'm using a tapestry needle, 4mm hook, and a small pair of scissors. And also have your tea, coffee ready, because we can now start with the tutorial. So this is the very first thing we have to do. I have one side already completed because the other side is going to be exactly the same. So it's basically 2 triangles to create the front and the back. This is the bust area of the top, and this is the back of the top, the other side. And this is how it looks once you put it together like this. So we are going to be starting with a slip knot and then chaining 4. Once you have the chain of 4, we are going to be closing this into a ring. So you're going to go into that very first chain. Make sure that you get 2 little loops of that, like this. And then you go into slip stitch this in place. And now you have basically a little ring right in the middle of the chain, as you can see, that little gap there. So now from where you left off, you're going to be chaining 3. And then into the ring, find the little gap right in the middle. You can see right here. And then we are going to be making a double crochet. We are going to then chain 2 and 2 double crochets into the ring, that same little spot where you've created the first double crochet. Just like this. So here's the beginning of our top. And we are basically right here into the top. This is the other one that I've created. The front is going to be this way. And then the back, we are going to be using the same ring to create the back going the other direction. So now you have to turn your project. So you have the back like this. We are going to straight from here, slip stitch into the chain 2 like this. And then now we are going to be creating the shell again, the same shell as we made this first one. So chain 3 into the chain 2, we are going to be making 1 double crochet, and then chain 2 and 2 double crochets. This is how it looks. Now you turn and then slip stitch again into the chain 2. Make it a little bit loose, not too tight, and then you can repeat again the same as the previous one. So chain 3, 1 double crochet into the chain 2, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. And this one is basically the little strap that is going to be right at the top. And this little thing that we are doing now with the shells going up, it's basically the strap that is going to go right at the top. It's going to look like this. And I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shells in total. So the size that I'm doing in today's video is in between small to medium, because that's what I am. But now if you are doing a extra small, then you're going to take away 1 little shell. So you're going to be having 4 here at the top. Then if you are doing a large, then you're going to be adding 2 shells. So you're going to be having 7 here at the top. Now if you are doing an extra large, then you're going to be adding 2 more after the large size. So it's going to be 9 in total here at the top. But now if you don't know and you want to do the beginning as I did here, you can. So you do 5 shells and then later you can add more to the back here. So you can use this little ring that we've created here, and then you can add more shells to the other side too, and that's going to basically make it more customizable to make the sizing that you need. So you can make first at the front and then you can see how many shells you can add to the other side. So now I'm going to carry on repeating the same steps as I already showed you previously until I have 5 shells in total going up. So as you can see, I have my 5 shells completed, and basically this middle one is going to be right on top of my shoulders, and then I'm going to be having 2 for the front and 2 here for the back. That's why I decided to do 5, but it's going to be completely up to you on how you want to do this. So now we are going to be starting with the actual front of the top, in which is going to be the same for the back, but basically the pattern for the triangle that we are doing. This little pattern here, in which I think is the cutest pattern ever for tops because it's so pretty with the shells. So now to continue the front here, we are going to chain 3. So it's not going to be the same as we did for the shells here because this is basically just the strap. So chain 3, turn project, and then into the chain 2 space, we are going to be doing 2 double crochets. And then we are going to chain 2, 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, and then chain 2 and 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. This is basically an increase that we are making here to increase the sizing of the cup of the front and the back of the top. When you get right at the end, we are going to create a double crochet into the chain 3 that is right at the end. So now next row, chain 3. The beginning and the end will always be the same with the chain 3 and the double crochet right at the end. Turn project, and now we are going to be making shells into the 2 chain 2 spaces that we have here. So into the next chain 2 space, we are going to be making a shell. So 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 double crochets into that same chain 2 space. Just like this. So now you're gonna go into the next chain 2 space and create a shell. So it's going to be 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 2 double crochets. And then right at the end, exactly the same as the previous row, we are going to find the chain 3 right on top of it into the 3rd chain, and we are going to be creating a double crochet. So here is how it's looking so far. Now the next one, we are going to be adding more increases to increase even more. So chain 3, turn project, and then you're going to be making a shell into the next chain 2 space. So 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 2 double crochets into that same chain 2 space. So now the increase for this one is going to be just a chain of 1 in between the shells. The previous one we didn't do a chain 1. This one we are, because we are increasing for the next row. And now going to the chain 2 space, the following one, and create a shell. So 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 2 double crochets. Now you're going to finish it off with a double crochet right at the end. So now for the next row, chain 3, turn project, and shell into the next chain 2. As always, this is always going to be the beginning of each row. So now we got into the chain 1 space. So into this one, we are going to be making 1 double crochet, and then a chain of 2 and 1 double crochet. So this is the increase that we are doing for this row, so that we can increase the following one with shells. So now you're gonna go into the last chain 2 that we have, and we are going to be making a shell. So 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 2 double crochets. That's the shell that we are doing for this pattern. So when I say shell, you know that this is the shell that I'm doing. So now, to finish it off, we are going to double crochet right at the end. There we go. So now we're going to chain 3, turn project, shell into the first chain 2 space, and then we go into the V. So it's going to be exactly the same. Here we have the chain 2, so we are going to be making a shell. So 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 2 double crochets, all into the same chain 2 space. And then we go into the last shell, so you're going to be doing exactly the same. You're going to be doing a shell into this chain 2 space, and then we are going to finish it off with a double crochet right at the end. So now we are going to be repeating what we have into the previous row and do the following one. So shell on top of shell. So now we are basically not going to increase the next row. So chain 3, turn, shell into the next chain 2 space, and then shell into the following chain 2 space, and then shell into the last chain 2 space, and then double crochet right at the end to finish it off. So now we are going to be increasing the next row right in the middle. So follow the same steps as the previous one here at the beginning. So chain 3 and shell on top of shell. This is always going to be the beginning of each row, and the ending is always going to be the same. The only thing that is going to change will be the middle when we add the increases. Now when you get here in the middle, into the middle shell, we are going to be doing the same as we did into here, this very first row right after this strap, so this very first one here. So all into the same chain 2 space, this one in the middle shell. We are going to be doing 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. So this is the increase right here in the middle. So for the following row, we are basically going to be adding 2 shells here and here. Now finish it off the same as we've been doing, with the shell into the chain 2 of this last shell, and then we double crochet right into the last stitch into the chain 3. So now for the following row, we are going to be doing shells into all the chain 2 spaces. So begin the row as always, chain 3, turn and shell on top of shell. So now we got into the increase of the previous row, so we are going to be creating shells into these 2 chain 2 spaces. So the next one, shell. So 2 double crochets, a chain of 2 and 2 double crochets. And now do the same to the following chain 2, create a shell into the next chain 2 space. There we go, so we have 2 shells right here into this increase that we've created into the previous row. Now we can finish it off by creating a shell into this last shell and double crochet into the last stitch. So now next row, chain 3, turn project and shell on top of shell, this very first one. Now we go into the 2 middle shells, so we are going to just chain 1 in between the 2 shells so that we can start with increasing even more here our triangle. So we are going to be doing a shell into the following shell, into the chain 2 of the shell. There we go. So now to move from this shell to the following one, you are just going to chain 1 in between them, and now you can follow the shells all the way down into the chain 2 spaces. And then you're going to finish it off with the double crochet right at the end, exactly the same as we've been doing into all the rows. So now because we've done the chain 1 space right in the middle, we have to do the V row as we did with this one here. So chain 3, turn and shell into the next chain 2 space. So now we do a shell into the chain 2 of the next shell. Now we go into the chain 1 in between the 2 shells. So all you have to do is to create 1 double crochet, a chain of 2 and 1 double crochet into that chain 1 space. And now moving to the next chain 2 of the next shell and then do a shell. So now you're going to finish it off with a shell into the chain 2 of the next shell and then a double crochet right at the end. So now this is what we have, and for the next row we are going to be doing shells all over, no increases. And when you find the chain 2 space, the little V here in the middle, you're just going to be doing a normal shell as we've been doing into all the others. So let's do this one, chain 3, turn, shell into the next chain 2 space of the next shell. Shell into the next chain 2 space. Now we go into the V. You're going to be doing a shell into this V, into the chain 2 of this V. Now shell into the next chain 2 of the following shell. And now you can finish it off with a shell into this chain 2 of this next shell and then a double crochet right at the end. So right after the strap, in which I'm not really counting here when I'm mentioning rows, I've done 11 rows from this one, from the very first one with the increases. I've done 11 rows, and this is exactly what you're going to be doing. This is not going to be different from other sizes. Now, the next 4 rows that we have here, it's going to be the pattern repeat for you to add until you have the sizing that you need. So do the beginning of the row exactly as we've been doing previously. So chain 3, turn, and then shell on top of shell. So just do shell on top of the next chain 2 space, And now I got into the middle shell. Once you get into the middle shell, we are going to be doing the same increase as we did right here to add the 2 shells into 1 shell. So into the next chain 2 space, you're going to be doing 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 2 double crochets. So this is what you're going to be doing into this middle shell. Now you can finish it off by creating shell on top of shell all the way down, and then double crochet right into the very last stitch. All right, row number 12 is now completed. Let's move into 13. So the next one is going to be shell all over, but this time is going to be a little bit different. We're just going to be adding 1 chain space into the middle shells here in the middle. So do the same, chain 3, turn, and then shell on top of shell until you get to this one, and then I'm going to share with you what you have to do. So as you can see, this is how it looks, and also I got into the increases now. So I'm going to be doing a shell into the very first chain 2 space of this increase. And then before you move on into the next shell, you just want to chain 1. So now do a shell into the other chain 2 space of this increase right after the chain 1. And now you can just finish it off with shell on top of shell into the chain 2 spaces and then double crochet right at the end. So now for the next row, we are going to be doing with the V into the chain 1 space. So it's the same as this row right here with the V into the chain 1 space. So we are basically just skipping 1 row of the previous sequence that we've created to create the pattern sequence for the sizing you're going to be doing. So now you're going to be chaining 3, turning, and then shell on top of shell, and then I'm going to meet you once I'm here into the chain 1 space. So I got now into the chain 1 space, into this one, right after the previous shell. We are going to be doing the V, so 1 double crochet, a chain of 2, and 1 double crochet. And then you can just finish it off with shell on top of shell, all the way down, and then double crochet right at the end. So here I have row 14 completed, and we've added the V into this one. And now for row 15, we are basically just going to be doing shell all the way across. So you're going to chain 3, shell on top of shell. Once you get into the V, you're also going to be doing a shell here, and then finish it off with shell on top of shell, and then double crochet right at the end. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. So when you get into the V right in the middle, right after this last shell, you're just gonna jump right into the following chain 2, in which is the V, chain 2, and then do a shell. So we are basically just doing shells all across. Just like that. And then now we can finish it off with shell on top of shell and then double crochet right at the end. All right, so here I have row now, number 15. Right after the strap, so I'm not really counting the strap here. If I count the strap, I have 20 rows in total. So what we are going to be doing now, I'm going to have to try this on around my body so that I can show you what you're going to be doing and until when you have to do the pattern repeat. The pattern repeat, it's the last 4 rows of what we just did. This little triangle that we did for the top, and you're going to be repeating that until you have the sizing that you need, in which is going to be basically now is the time maybe that you want to measure your bust circumference, and then you're going to be dividing it by 4, and then you're going to be measuring from this point to see if that measurement it's what is in here. My bust circumference is 95. So you're gonna get that number, and then you're going to be dividing it by 4. So 23.5, let's say that's my measurement. And without the stretching, it's measuring 29. All right. So what you're going to do before you do exactly to 23.5, in which is my measurement, you're going to just hold it here, and then you're going to pull just a little bit. So you can see when I stretch it out, it does reach to 20, even 24 centimeters. So that's what you want to do to make sure that this is going to fit around your bust. Keep in mind that crochet does stretch quite a lot. That's why I'm telling you not to do exactly to your measurement, to the measurement that we just calculated. If you do want this top to be a little bit loose, then you are going to be doing to your measurement. But also you have to keep in mind that we have to follow the pattern repeat, and we have to finish it off into this last row here with shells all across. So you want to make sure that when you do the pattern repeat until you reach your measurement, you want to finish into a row that you have shells all across, because that's basically the rest of the pattern for the top. What you're going to do now is you're going to put the middle shell, or depending on which one you've done, the sizing, I'm going to be putting the middle shell right on top of my shoulder, right here, into my top line, this one, the sewing line. And then this, it's basically gonna go right into the tip of my bust circumference. You know, when you measure your bust circumference, that's where it's going to be stopping right now. So this is basically the front of the top. Now we are going to be doing this at the back exactly the same. So just leave enough yarn to weave in, because we are not going to do this one. So cut off the yarn and fasten off. Now you are going to move into the other side, and we are going to do the same as we did at the front to here at the back. So after you fasten off, you want to turn to the other side of the strap, and we are going to now repeat what we've done here at the front to the back, exactly the same. So I'm just gonna do the very first row here with you so that you know exactly where it's gonna go, and then from there you're going to be repeating the same steps all the way down to this point. So do a slip knot first. So we are basically going to be using everything that we have here on this other side, so the chain and the double crochet that we have here, and also the little ring to crochet everything that we have to do into the next row, into the first one for the back. So going to the chain that we have here, right underneath it, into any stitch of this chain, and then you're going to be attaching this yarn however you want. I like to attach with a single crochet, and then I chain 2 like this. And now we are going to move on into the little ring, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, all into the same ring. So it looks like this. And now to finish it off, you're going to be finding any stitch that is right into the edge, right at the end, and you're going to be making a double crochet. It can be any stitch, just like that. So this is how I basically attach here to the other side. Also, if you want, you can add more shells into the ring before you add and start the other side of the top, the back of the top, if you want to add a little bit more of strap at the top. So that's something that you can do here before you start again the other side of the top. I am happy on how much strap I have here at the top, because I want the main detail to be the triangle from right at the top of my shoulders, just a little bit of the strap. So I'm going to be starting already from here, the other side of the top, in which is the back of the top. So now from here you can just carry on, and you are going to be repeating the same as you did to this other side. exactly the same, no difference, just repeating the same steps as you did for the front of the top. So if you want, you can go back into the video and watch again how I did from this point, and then it's going to be a little bit helpful for you if you've never done this before. I know that it can be a little bit confusing if it's your first time doing something like this. That's why I went through each row with you guys, because I know it can be a little bit confusing, but you can always go back and watch it again and follow the video again from the beginning to create the back of your top. So this is how it looks once you have the back now with the front here at the back of the strap. And this is basically one piece is going to be shoulder, front and back now. And you want to have the back here as the one that you've attached into the strap, into the end of the strap. So that's the back that you want to have. And then the other one is going to be the front, because this side looks a little bit nicer than this one, but it's going to be completely up to you too. It's not a problem at all, but it doesn't look ugly either, okay? It just looks a little bit different than this one. This one, it looks more seamless. This one, you have a little attaching here. So what you're gonna do, you are going to fasten off this one, and then you're going to be making a second one, in which this one for me is the second one, and then this one you are not going to fasten off. So you are going to have two pieces. The second one, don't fasten off, because we are going to be joining everything now together, and we are going to be using this yarn to do that. So the easier way to attach everything together is to leave this open here, and then you're going to add the other one just beside it, the other side. Here's the back and front. And then we are going to turn all this way. So we can start here with the attaching. So here we have the back and the back of the other side. All you have to do to join here, this two, and then carry on with the shells, is to join with the slip stitch into the chain, as you can see. So just join into here with the slip stitch. And then you're going to slip stitch until you find the very first shell. So just slip stitch into the next two double crochets, and then slip stitch into the chain 2 space. From here you can just do shell on top of shell all the way to this very last one. So chain 3, and then double crochet into the chain 2, and then 2 double crochets. Here, this is the beginning basically. And now to move into the next one, you're just gonna jump right into the chain 2 space and then do the shell. So 2 double crochets, a chain of 2 and 2 double crochets. And then just carry on creating the double crochets into the chain 2s of the shells all the way to the very last shell, chain 2 space. So let me turn this way so you can see a little bit better. So I've just finished the last shell. So I've started here and I finished the last shell here. To carry on and to continue, we are going to be bringing the front of this side, just moving it like this. And then we are going to carry on this side, creating the shells here. Here I am doing the right side in this case. Before you continue with the shells, I'm going to be using this yarn to just attach the double crochet with the chain. So I'm going to show you that now. But first you have to thread this yarn into your tapestry needle. And then you're going to be going into the chain that you have here, going to that chain, the very first one that you can find. And then you're going to be just sewing the two together. So I go through this 2-3 times just to make sure that it's secured in place. So let me do 3 times, just like that. And then I move this yarn to the back, because now this is the right side of my top, to the back like this. And then we can weave in this yarn here at the back. So my camera just stopped recording for no reason, I'm not sure. So I did the fasten off as you saw, and then I just weaved in into this other shell here. That's all I did. So I'm going to show you when I do the next one, and I'll make sure that I will record and my camera will not stop recording just suddenly like this. Sorry about that. We are now working into the front of the right side of the top. So from here, from this shell that you've made, you are going to jump all this and go into the next shell on the other side. So go into the next shell, the chain 2, and then you can start your shells into this other side at the front of the top. And then you're going to be creating shells all the way to the other side. So I've just created the shells into the front and the other side of our top, and you can see here we already have the armhole completed for this side, for the right side of the top. Now you're gonna have to move this way, and we are basically going to be then adding the other side. This is the front, the left side, and we are going to be joining this right here. We are going to be doing first the sewing, the little sewing. So thread this yarn into your tapestry needle, and then we are going to be going into the chain on the other side. I go through that chain 3 times in total. There we go. And then I move this yarn to the back. And then I fasten off this yarn here at the back, so finding a little loop. Before I finish the sewing, I go through the loop and then I fasten off it right here. And then I move this yarn to where I want to weave in. I'm going to be doing here behind this shell. And then I fasten off right here, back and forth, skipping the first loop, as I always do my weave-ins. And I do 3-4 times in total. There we go. So once the weave-in is done, you can cut off the yarn, and that's how you join the parts together. And then now you can carry on with your shells. So I'm going to be doing the shells here into the other side, the front of the left side of my top, and then I will be back once I'm here at the end so that I can show you how to join with the back of the other side. All right, so let me show you. I've just finished the last shell of this side, the front of the left side, and we've started here at the back into this shell, and then we've joined with the front of the same side, the right side, and then we've added the front side of the left side. And now, so it's easier, we are going to be folding everything together like this. And now we can join the left side, front and back. So that's what I'm going to do. Exactly the same as I did to the other ones. So first I'm going to be sewing the double crochet in the chain here at the beginning in place, and then fasten off and weave in at the back, and then I'm going to carry on with the shells into the last side at the back. So once I have this completed, I will be back, and then we are going to move on into creating the length of the top. So as you can see, I've created all the shells into the back of the left side of my top. Now all we have to do is to join. Remember, this was the very first one that we did all the shells on top. So now we just have to join with the slip stitch the two sides here together. So let's do that. So here I have the last and the first shell I've created. All you have to do is to go into the chain, into the third chain, and then you're gonna create a slip stitch to join the two sides together just like this. And now we can basically do the length of the top as long as we want, following the shells. So here's where we've done the slip stitch. So you're going to basically do the same as we did here at the beginning. So we are going to slip stitch until we get into the very first chain two space, the very first shell. I'm going to slip stitch into that shell, and then you're going to chain 3 and then make the first shell here. So 1 double crochet, a chain of 2 and 2 double crochets. And then from here you just have shells all the way around. So what you're gonna do, you're just going to be creating shell on top of shell all the way around. When you get into the joining here, it's also the same. Here we have a shell, here we have a shell. So shell on top of this one, shell on top of this one. So we are not going to do anything different rather than creating shell on top of shell all the way around. So I'm going to create all my shells going around, and then I'll meet you here so that I can show you just one more time how to go from this side to the other. And then all you have to do when you get here at the end is to slip stitch to the other shell into the chain 3. And then you're going to be repeating the same as you did into the previous row. So you're going to slip stitch until you get to the very first chain 2 of this shell, the first shell. And then from here you can start again. And then once I have the length that I want, I will be back and we are going to carry on with doing like some finishing details that I want to do. So as you can see, I have now completed the length that I want for my top. As I've mentioned, I wanted a little bit longer than a crop top, so I've done 15 rounds in total right after the beginning of the triangles that we've done. So I've done 15 rounds from this point. So in total, from top of this very first row here that I've done, that I've added for the cups, all the way down, I have 30 rows in total. Once you've done with the length, we can fasten off and then you can weave in here if you want. I want to keep this detail here at the bottom. I'm not going to add anything else. I'm going to leave it raw like this because it looks really pretty and I really liked how that looked. And now the next step is to add a little detail for the finishing of the top here, because you can keep it raw like this, it looks pretty nice, but I think, as you can see, I've done this one off the camera, this looks pretty cute. And the detail is going to be the same for the armholes and also for the neckline. So you're going to be repeating the same steps. So with the same yarn, create a slip knot, and we are going to be attaching into any of the sided chains and double crochets. It can be any of these that you have around the armhole or the neckline. I'm going to be doing right at the bottom of the armpit into or the chain or the double crochet, doesn't matter which one you choose. So choose where you want to attach your yarn. I'm going to do it here. Then I'm going to attach with a single crochet, and then in each of the sided or chain or double crochet, I'm going to be doing 3 single crochets. So I've done the first one, second and third here into this space. Now I'm going to jump right into the next one. You can see if we do it like this, you can see that we have the space here and here. So we are not going to get these spaces, the tiny ones, it's going to be the long ones, the chain or the double crochet spaces. Going to the next one, 3 single crochets. And then carry on until you reach to the strap here, because then I'm going to show you what you're going to have to do, but it's exactly the same thing. So when you get here at the top where you have the shells by itself, you are going to be again finding the sided stitches. You can see all the double crochets, all the chains, and then you're going to be making 3 single crochets going around the sided stitches. You can see I have one here. So 3 single crochets. I have another one right here. So 3 single crochets. And then do the same until you have covered all the strap right at the top. So I'm gonna go all the way down and then I'll meet you once I find the very first single crochet that I've created. So as you can see, I got into the very first single crochet, and this was my last sided stitch with 3 single crochets. Now all we have to do is to go into the very first single crochet and then slip stitch into that one, chain 1. We can then cut off the yarn and fasten off. I am going to now weave in these two ends and all the ends around my project because we have now completed this top. Can you believe that was such a quick project? Oh my goodness, I'm so impressed. So once I've finished the finishing detail for one of the sides, you're going to be repeating the same for the neckline. So it's going to be all the way around, and also the other side, the other armhole, and this is how it's going to look. I think it looks better with the finishing detail, but it's going to be completely up to you. And here is basically now our top completed. It looks so beautiful. It looks stunning. I think this is the easiest crochet top I ever crocheted in my life because I made this in 4 hours. That is what took me to complete this entire top. Can you believe that? That is so quick. And in total, I have used 1 skein and a half of the Doni yarn by Teslan.com. So you do use very little yarn. It's not a lot at all. So it's around 150 grams of this yarn here for a size small to medium because that's what I made. So yeah, this is how you crochet this beautiful tank top for summertime, for spring, and also you can dress this down for winter time too. I am going to definitely do that because you can definitely wear your summer stuff for winter too, also for autumn, depending on how you dress it up. So yeah, this is it. This is how you crochet this beautiful top. And if you end up making this top, don't forget to tag me on Instagram. Also, now is the time that I'm going to give some shout outs here at the end of my video because you guys tag me a lot and I want to give back this love because you guys tag me. So I want to give shout outs at the end of my videos for those who tag me on the pictures, that the ones that they've followed my videos. So today I'm going to go through right now through my tagging page here on Instagram, and I'm going to be choosing 3 lovely followers and I'm going to share them with you just a second. She basically made her other half model the bucket hat for her, and oh my goodness, I thought that that was the cutest little thing ever. I'm pretty sure he loves you. So that was the highlight of my week because I loved this so much and I found that so funny but so cute and so kind at the same time. This is the Harry Styles bucket hat, if you are wondering. I love how it turned out. It's so cute. I love that she chose a different shade for the top and then she made all yellow for the other squares. I thought that that was really lovely, and I love how the brim turned out. So shout out to you. I love how it turned out. Her Instagram is Zoe _Zoe Crochet. And this is the next one. She made a blanket out of my bubble heart square. I love that square so much, and I'm so happy to see this square, this particular square, because I know that it's not that easy to make this square, but it's so beautiful, and I'm so happy to see this beautiful square made into a blanket. It makes my heart melt, really. It's so dreamy, this blanket, and it looks amazing. This one was made by, her handle is Crochet La Rose. I'm going to leave everything here so you can see, and look how beautiful this blanket is. I love the shades. I love how she made diagonally all the different shades. That looks stunning. And the detail of this square, it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. I love everything about this blanket. And you know what? I think I'm gonna have to make a blanket this year because I never done a blanket before. Thank you so much for tagging me. I loved how that blanket turned out. All right, so the next beauty is this one. I've always wanted to give her a shout out. She's always tagging me on all her pictures, liking my posts, sharing my stuff. So thank you so much. And her handle is yarn _ and _me_. So this is the beauty, and she made a yellow top in which is so similar to this one, but the top here and the bottom and all the detail is quite different, but it's very similar to this top that I made in today's video. So I just want to give her a shout out. I love how this top turned out on her. You can see that it looks amazing. She made also the same shade as I did the other one, and I love how it turned out. Also, she paired with this beautiful skirt that she made in crochet too. Can you believe that is a crochet skirt? So shout out to you. I love everything that you do following my tutorials, and it's incredible. Thank you so much. So these are the shout outs for today's video. Thank you everyone for all the support, all the love, and if you want to get featured in one of my videos, don't forget to tag me so that I can give you shout outs too in a future video. So thank you so much everyone. I really hope you have enjoyed crocheting with me this beautiful top. Also, don't forget to leave your massive thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you can watch more videos like this one. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye.